Put your hands up!
And I got rid of that motherfucker.
Tyler Perry's Duplicity is a 2025 thriller that delves into themes of betrayal, moral ambiguity, and the relentless pursuit of truth. The scene opens with four friends wrapping up a workout session at the gym. Kevin, a police officer, takes this opportunity to ask Fella out on a date. However, she immediately shuts him down, making it clear that she is aware of his reputation as a womanizer and has no interest in him. Her sharp remarks draw laughter from the group, setting the tone for their dynamic. The scene transitions to Marley, a defense attorney, inviting the group to breakfast. She wants to discuss a growing issue in Rodney and Fella's marriage, hoping to mediate and offer guidance. However, the intervention does not go as planned, as tensions escalate rather than resolve. At the police station, Kevin briefs his fellow officers about the rising gang activity in the area. He warns them to tread with caution and emphasizes the importance of teamwork. When choosing a partner, he selects Caleb Kane, an eager but inexperienced rookie who is overly enthusiastic about solving crime. Shortly after breakfast with his wife and friends, Rodney decides to jog home. On his way, he stops by an unfamiliar house to pick something up. Unfortunately, a nosy neighbor sees him and mistakenly believes he is an intruder, immediately calling the police to report suspicious activity. Officer Kevin and the busybody overly eager rookie, Caleb, are the closest officers to the location and respond to the call. Just then, Rodney walks out of the house, lost in his music, with his hoodie up and his hands inside his pockets. Unaware of the situation, he doesn't see Caleb pointing a gun at him. The moment Rodney notices the officers, he instinctively reaches up to remove his headset to hear them better. However, before he can do so, Caleb, in his nervous excitement, mistakes his movement for an attempt to pull out a weapon and fires a fatal shot. Fella, Rodney's wife who works at the news station, receives the breaking news of another shooting of an unarmed black man but was surprised when she learned that said man was her husband. Rodney is rushed to the hospital, but despite the doctor's best efforts, he succumbs to his injuries. The devastating news takes a toll on Fella and Marley, who struggle to process the tragedy. During Rodney's funeral, news reporters attempt to cover the event, despite being explicitly told to stay away. While she was trying to make them leave, Kevin, one of the cop, came to smoothen things out with her so she doesn't put a stain on the police department, as they are already taking backlash from previous engagements. Later, Fella confides in Marley, revealing that Rodney had no life insurance and they were drowning in debt. Desperate for financial relief, she pleads with Marley to sue the police department for wrongful death, hoping to secure a settlement that could help her move forward. She begs her to use her tenacity and legal prowess to win the case. When Marley visits the district attorney's DA office, she threatens to sue unless a reasonable settlement is offered. In response, the DA reveals body cam footage from the incident, arguing that Rodney's phone pack inside his hoodie was black and irregularly large and resembled a gun. The DA warns Marley that if she proceeds with the lawsuit, the police department will fight back aggressively. The DA raises an uncomfortable question: what was Rodney doing in that alley in the first place? However, Marley is not one to back down from a fight, even though the footage leaves her shaken and in tears. Determined to uncover the truth, Marley seeks out the woman who made the 911 call that led to Rodney's death, but the woman refuses to cooperate and the stories were not really adding up. Soon, an anonymous tip surfaces, claiming that Rodney was having an affair and that the house he was allegedly breaking into belonged to his mistress. To make matters worse, Marley receives a photograph showing that her boyfriend, Tony, a detective-turned-private investigator, was in the area on the day of the shooting. This discovery leaves Marley in turmoil. How can she break the news to Fella that her beloved husband was being unfaithful? And she felt that her boyfriend was too smooth with his lies and there could be more to it. That night, Caleb follows Marley to her house, visibly distressed. He tries to apologize, insisting that he never intended to pull the trigger. However, his guilt does nothing to ease Marley's anger. The next day, when Marley visits Fella, she notices a masked man jumping out of a window. Though she is unable to recognize him, they suspect that it could be Caleb, trying to cover his tracks. Further investigation into Caleb's military records reveals a dark past. His past racial slurs and lack of proper background checks before being hired by the police department raise serious concerns. With this new revelation, the DA finally agrees to settle, and a warrant for Caleb's arrest is issued. However, by the time authorities try to locate him, he is nowhere to be found. 4 months later, Marley's relationship with Kevin is strained due to his dishonesty about Rodney's affair. Additionally, her once strong friendship with Fella has deteriorated. Overwhelmed, she heads to the gym for a late-night workout to clear her mind. On her way home, she is abducted and thrown into a van. Inside, she finds Rodney's mistress, Anna Lewis, who also happens to be Kevin's ex-girlfriend. Caleb is there too, desperate for Marley's help. He claims that he was set up to fail by his boss, and that something far more sinister is at play. It was revealed that Kevin was a narcissist who always wants to be in control of everything. On the said day of the Rodney shooting, Kevin was not supposed to be in that zone, and he specifically chose a rookie with no experience in de-escalation, with little civilian interaction knowledge. Kevin insisted on being Caleb's training officer and insisted on going to the West region that is known to have little or no violence cases, as opposed to the South Side where cops were actually needed. Caleb recounts that after shooting Rodney, he tried to stop the bleeding, but Kevin pushed him away, insisting that Rodney was already dead even though Rodney was still showing signs of life. The fact was, Kevin is bipolar that was so possessive of his girlfriend Anna Lewis and couldn't handle the fact that she left him for Rodney. So, he orchestrated a police shooting to eliminate his romantic rival, using Caleb as his pawn. Marley and her boyfriend sneak into Kevin's home and successfully retrieve the phone containing the evidence. However, they stumble upon another shocking discovery: incriminating evidence about Marley's own boyfriend, Tony. Marley had suspected Tony all along, ever since the first time he lied to her, but this confirms her worst fears. As she attempts to escape, she realizes that they have locked down the house. She is drugged and taken to a boat. Apparently her friend whom she has been fighting for was the true masterminds behind everything. They used Marley to push a political narrative and secure a huge police settlement. They execute their final move by shooting the lake patrol officer and tossing Marley into the middle of the lake, to drown, assuming she is unconscious. But as soon as she hits the water, Marley fights back. She retrieves the guard's gun and fires at her attackers, taking them by surprise. In the end, Marley survives and exposes the entire conspiracy. She urges the general public to look at cases like this with more care and not make everything political or all about race.
Subscribe to this channel for more detailed recaps.